we do need more senior associates. We do need more team leaders, and we do need more directors, and we do need managing directors. And this week, we are covering the role of a sponsor. What is a role? It's simple. Sometimes we make things difficult, but it really is a simple business. And tonight I've asked Rosemary to cover just that, as I truly believe this is what Rosemary is all about. It's someone who listens with her heart, which she does, walks beside, encourages at times, corrects and applauds. Someone who has inspired and ignited a team member into creating a greater vision. You heard that tonight. Someone who shares how each personal goal contributes to the success of the team, which I saw this week with Rosemary as well. Someone who recognizes one's strength and helps them learn to use them. And so will you please help me welcome Rosemary to walk us through the different kind of supports. Thank you, Rosemary, for all your time you're putting into this. We all appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Janie. Thank you for those kind words. I have a lot to live up to now. Anyway, it's your role as a sponsor. So I just Googled for the definition of a role of a sponsor, and it's to provide necessary resources, guidance, and support to ensure success with your associates' desired goals. We can't ensure success. We can give the tools, but it's up to the person to use the tools to move forward for that success. But before we get into that, I think there's two other things that are extremely important as a sponsor. And those two things are, first of all, being a good listener, and secondly, creating a relationship with your associate. So being a good listener, I'm sure you have all heard the term, God gave us two ears and one mouth for a reason. We listen more than we speak. People love to hear their name. They love to talk about themselves, their families, their work, their vacations, their hobbies, and the list goes on. And sometimes when we're listening, it's all too easy to want to interject. And I'm guilty of that too. None of us are perfect, but we just have to practice what we're preaching here. Let them talk. Be understanding, be sympathetic, be joyous, whatever the conversation alludes to. And you can always use the feel, felt, found method. I felt the same way. I know how you feel. I felt the same way too. But what I found was that when I tried the patches, they really did work. Pick up on what they say and ask questions and give positive feedback. And I know sometimes it's difficult to give positive feedback, but there is not a situation on earth that you cannot find something positive to comment on. So the more we practice, the better we're going to get. Just be cognizant of the situation and the conversation. So developing the relationship, that starts with being a good listener, of course. You've simply listened and interacted with the person, whether it's common interests about family, health, sports, or the list goes on. So I want to give you an example. At the fair that we did this past weekend on Saturday, I had a young lady come along, and unfortunately, she isn't able to join us tonight. So she chatted away, and I just listened, and she tried the Liberty Patch, and she talked about situations, and she ended up, at that point, she purchased the Peace Patch and the REM Patch. And she came back just before the end of the show, and she said, I want to buy the Liberty too. She said, I just feel so good. I said, what qualifies feeling so good? And she said, it's really hard to explain. I'm breathing easier for one thing, and I just feel really good. So she bought the Liberty Patch. So as I always do, I sent her a text thanking her for stopping by the table. It's a pleasure meeting her. And sent her the John Brenkus video, which anybody on the call that I'm sure everybody's seen the John Brenkus video. She responded to me right away saying, thank you for reaching out. It was a pleasure meeting you as well. The products are amazing. I can't wait to see the results after 28 days. Thank you for the video as well for my information. I appreciate it. That was only because I listened. Another situation is Mel, who's on the call tonight. Goodness, I met Mel a year ago, and we had some contact, and she's been on 3 or 4 Zoom calls over the time. And I did let her know I was going to be at the health fair last weekend, And it was a nice day, so she and her mom decided that they would do some gardening instead. But you know what was really nice? Was I got a text from her explaining why she didn't come by the table that day, that she and her mom were doing gardening. That is just from connecting with people and forming that relationship. So I appreciate that. Um, I could go on here, but I think, if you have a new associate, you have to qualify with them. And what I mean by this is asking them questions. This gives you insight on how you're going to work with them. So one of the things you need to ask them is, what do they want out of the business? This will determine how much you'll share with them at the beginning, because there's nothing any worse than somebody going on, as they say, vomiting all over you when you're really not interested. So there are three reasons really why people will come into the business. First of all, just to get the discount. And we've all got them, and that's okay. The second is some people will just want to share with some family, friends, and colleagues, and that's all they want to do. But then you'll get the third category, who want to build a business. And someone may come in just to get the discount, but move on to building a business, I guess, like Louise and Rick tonight. You need to also establish with them the best times to communicate with them and the method. Do they prefer texts or emails? Is it all right to call them? What are good times to call them? How much money do they want to make? Do they want to make $100 to $500 a month? Do they want to make $1,000 a month? Do they want to make $5,000 a month? That's important for you to know. What kind of time can they devote to their business? Because everybody's busy these days. I don't care if you're retired or you're still working full time. Everybody's really busy. So you have to work with them where they're at. So make sure that they have all of your contact information as well. One very important thing to remember here too is that different people have different personalities and different learning styles. So you have to meet them where they're at there as well. So some people, when you're explaining something, you might need to have them get on their device and go to the back office in a certain section so they can see and walk them through it. Some people can get it just by talking. Some people can get it by reading, but you have to be aware of how they learn. So for the people who just want a discount, first of all, everybody, no matter what category, needs to know what the patches do for them. And we have a fabulous sheet that we can share with people about what the patches do. They need to know how to order from their website. And I know that sounds pretty basic, but there are going to be people who don't know how to do that. They're not computer savvy. They don't care about the computer. You need to tell them about SmartShip. And I know they only want the discount, but the advantage here is that they never run out, and it can be changed at any time, whether it's date, payment, patches, whatever. Also, I think something really important for people who just want a discount is the Brand Champion program. I think it's the most under-discussed and underused program that we have with Super Patch. Because let's say that I'm a person who just wants a discount and I refer someone to Jane and I get a $30 credit. I'm pretty excited about that. I might even try more patches. It might encourage me to go further. You also need to let them know that there is a Team Leader Club Facebook page and invite them into it and make them aware there is a Zoom. They probably will never come on, and that's okay. You have to let go of that. It's okay. The important thing is that you have given them the information and they can never come back and say, but I did not know. Okay. And ask permission to keep them informed. I think I mentioned that just a little bit earlier. Let them know you are there for them at any time they have questions, concerns, or need assistance. There's no such thing as a silly question, ever. Every question is important. Give them the corporate phone number. In case they can't reach you, they can call somebody to get an answer. And I also mentioned compliance, even to a person who just wants a discount, because inevitably they're going to end up talking to a friend, but they can't say treat, cure, diagnose, or prevent. So be very emphatic about that. So moving on to the next group, family, friends, and colleagues. So here's an interest. This is somebody who's got some interest, but you don't want to overwhelm them at first either, or you'll lose them. Help them reach a few successes, which can actually grow into something bigger. So tell them everything you told the person with the discount, but there's certain things that you will add. So you will add to that how they get a customer to order, which is the same way they ordered. And they're going to be talking about getting the patches for 45, so they need to know how to sign up an associate. And you can take them to the back office, but I wouldn't do a lot with them in the back office. It can be overwhelming, but I would point out organization where they can see people who have ordered from them when they ordered, commissions, and encourage them to investigate the resources, because it does provide a lot of information and options for Super Patch marketing material. Also explain to them about having 3 people on SmartShip, because that's when they get the business builder bonus of 2 free patches every month of their choice. I would also tell them about the Hattrick and All-Star bonus, only because they need to know that information in case someone they're sharing the product with asks that question. I would also give them conversation to use with their circle of family and friends. I wouldn't worry about strangers at that point. You could offer to help them by them having some people get together and you do something for them. If the distance is a problem, you can always do a Zoom with those people, a 3-way call, or invite them on the Wednesday Zoom. This is where people often come on just to hear or listen and end up either being a customer or an associate. The compensation plan, you can tell them about the comp plan, because if they're going to sell some product, they're going to make some money, but never go beyond team leader. I don't care who it is that joins your group. It gets just too confusing beyond team leader for someone new to comprehend. Suggest a few people they might want a friend on Facebook, like your sponsor, Jane, Tommy, Steve. So I guess that's it for those people. And then building a business. So everything you told previously, who just wants to share with family and friends and colleagues, but now you need to go to all the bonuses. So when you go to the comp plan, you're going to see across the top of the comp plan, it says Hattrick All-Star Driver Bonus. And then your builder bonus of having 3 people on SmartShip. The driver bonus is signing 3 people up in a month that start with one of the kits. That's a $200 bonus that you can receive every month. They need to know that. Let me see. Emphasize on how to add new associates and the importance of going through that whole process with them, of explaining the different packages and everything as they go, because as they are going to sign people up, they want to go through that process with those people as well. It's like monkey see, monkey do, but always make them aware that you can help them with their first few people on doing that. I would give them a really good back office tour, going into details about commission, TreeView downline, as that's where they can see at a glance what's happening in their organization. For some people, things might happen fast, but they need to know how to track. They need to know about business cards and other marketing materials. They need to know what to do in their first 30 days. They need a conversation for talking to strangers. That's something that a lot of people fear, is talking to strangers, but it can really be quite so simple. You can touch objections with them. What makes us special? The comp plan. This is the only area where I would explain the CAPEX program, that they need to know about that program as well. And other Facebook groups that you can invite them into. So, you know, you've gone through and you've explained all these things. You have set them up for success. The rest is up to you. However, life gets in the way, as we all know, right, Diane? Life gets in the way. And so something that we have trained on before in our Pace Setter program, and it's called the Psychological Secrets to Keep Working. So when you look at this chart, there are 5 areas that lead to success. So vision, that's which is knowing what you want. Skills, which is what you are giving people, helping them with. A need. You know, they always said, find a need and fill it. Resources, so you're giving them the resources. A consistent plan, because consistency is key. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit 2 months later, doesn't get you where you want to go. So all of those things add up to having fun and making money. So let's say vision. So if somebody doesn't really have a clear vision of where they want to go in the business, they have some set goals, but they have the skills, they have a need, they have the resources, they have a plan, but without the vision, it leads to confusion because you're struggling all the time because you're not sure where you're going, right? You need to know where you're going. You need to fall in love with your future, and you need to be ready to accept change. So coming down to the next row, someone has a vision, but they don't have the skills. That's where, you're really going to need to work with that person to help them develop their skills. So that's where you can, do events for them, but you do events for them anyway. And encourage them to get on the Zooms and to listen, because that's where you learn the skills. They have a need, they have the resources, they have a plan, but without skills, it creates anxiety. And what happens with anxiety? It creates a lot of stress. And for a lot of people, it's getting your family on board with what you're doing as well and on your team. And that can be really difficult. And particularly with friends, and people are going to have opinions about what you're doing. But something I learned in another business is you say, what you're thinking of me or what you're thinking of what I'm doing is none of my business. So just move on. So moving on to this section, you have a vision, you have skills, but you don't have a need. Having a need is pretty important. Whether it's a need emotionally, whether it's a need financially, whatever. You have the resources, you have a plan. Success happens eventually. So these are reasons that people don't reach out. They don't really have a need. They don't reach out. They don't do things to promote their business. And so obstacles become overwhelming to them. Moving on to here, you have a vision, you have skills, you have a need, but you don't have the resources. That's where we really need to make sure in that training that they are aware of the resources that are available to them. And, going over it once isn't enough, because even what I've learned from doing a lot of these health shows is you talk to people, and the next time you call them or connect with them, they don't remember what you said to them. So you have to go over it again. These people in this area also have a consistent plan, but without resources, it leads to frustration, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know what video to send. I don't know what this patch does. Anything that's associated with resources. So, you have to learn how to handle that and how to work with the people that way. And conflict challenges people here too, because you will get people who challenge you about the business or about the patches, but you just have to have the proper resources to give the answer. So in this group, they have the vision, skills, need, resources, but they don't have a consistent plan. So what happens when you don't have a consistent plan? You start this week and life got in the way. The kids had an extra ball game. Your son broke his arm. Your husband had to go out of town. So you don't do anything. But then 2 weeks later, you're starting all over again. And boy, that creates everything going up through here. It creates anxiety, frustration, and everything. So it's about the false starts. You want to be consistent. You want your life, you want to be overcoming the fears as well associated with your business. It's where you deserve the dream. You've got the passion and purpose, attitude, relationships, empowerment. You feel very empowered when you have the right attitude and you've got the relationships going. You're motivated. You're making money. Your family's happy. You've got the resources that you can communicate and you can network with people. That is so important. You have a consistent plan. You know what your organization, about your people in your organization, time management, and time management does help to alleviate stress as well. And having fun and making money. So if you're looking at somebody that you know is so capable, and you're working with, and they do want something, but just take a look. Is it their vision that's missing? Is it the skills, more skills that they need? Uh, what is their need? Discuss that with them. What is their need? Some people might only have an emotional need. Happiness is an emotional need. Happiness is helping people feel better, right? So that can be a need. Are they lacking some resources that you can help them tap into? Do they have a consistent plan? Can you help them with time management? You don't have to spend hours on end in this business, but you do have to designate certain time that you're going to do the business. I hope that helps.